What's up, everyone? Daniel Armstrong coming at you again with another video from the Atech Racing Performance Shop. On today's video, I got a 2004 Harley-Davidson Electraglide Ultra Classic. This bike came in with belt alignment issues, and honestly, it came on a trailer, came in a box, and it looks like it didn't sit for a while. If you're new to the channel, please like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon, leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know what you guys think. All right, you guys get in the video. I'm gonna get to work on this thing, okay? Appreciate you guys. All right, here she is. As you can see, someone has already opened up and been inside her. She also looks like she's been sitting for a while too. All right, let's get started. First thing I'm gonna do is pull off this drive pulley. Already got the locking plate off. In order to get the counter shaft nut off, we got to use a special socket. I'm using this one from George's garage. Here's a socket. This is almost going to be like a little thread protector plus a pilot to keep everything straight. Before I can crack this loose, I got to make room so I can get this other special tool on. This is also from George's garage. This is going to hold the pulley in place, and the tab's going to actually sit up against the swing arm, just like this. I'm using a little scissor jack lift stand to hold pressure against the tab. That way it doesn't slip. Now that I got this guy in place, let's go ahead and start getting this off. We got to heat it with a torch first. What I'm going to do is just take my time. I'm not going to put a lot of heat into this, but I want to put some so I can try and crack this loose. And for those doing this at home, on this particular model, this is a reverse thread. So lefty tighty, righty loosey on this one. Shout out to George's garage. Their tools definitely make this job easier. Moving on, now that we got the pulley off, I wanted to pull off this spacer. And to me, it looks like this one is fine. It looks like it's a spacer from Baker. I already pulled this one off and measured it, and it's in tolerance at 0.6 of an inch. Moving to the front of the bike, we have 2 points of adjustment. One at the bottom of the motor in the front, and one at the top in between the jugs. We're going to be focusing on the one in the front at the bottom. What I'm going to do is try to expand it and get the back end of the bike to actually shift over to the left. What I'm trying to accomplish is to keep this belt from riding up against that pulley lip. As you can see, I got a little bit of a gap here now. Now that I'm happy with that, it's time to move on and get this primary rebuilt. First thing I'm gonna do is replace this O-ring. Out with the old, in with the new. Before I put the new one on though, I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of oil. Next thing I'm gonna do is take some of this grease and pack it inside where the shift shaft goes through. Before I can get this guy put back on, I want to replace this seal right here. All right, I got the old seal out. For the new seal, I'm going to take a little of this leaking transmission fluid, grease this thing up, and then get it installed. Now that we got that installed, let's go ahead and get this pulley spacer put back on. Next, let's get this counter shaft drive pulley installed. Make sure it fully seats down on the splines too. All right, let's fast forward. I got the inner primary case installed now. We got 7 bolts that we need to torque up. And we can't forget the 2 bolts that are on the back side of the starter motor. It's time to grab our compensator. I got our clutch assembly and our primary chain. I went to get this installed, and it looks like this passenger side floorboard's actually in the way for the clutch to go on. So I'm gonna have to loosen this guy up real quick. All right, I got it just loose enough so I can slide this whole assembly on. What I'm gonna do next is go ahead and get these nuts installed and get them torqued. Gotta remember that the one in the clutch is actually a left-handed thread. right, now that we got that all torqued up, I'm pretty happy with the alignment in the back end. Moving forward, gonna lock down the front engine mount, gonna lock down the front engine adjuster, and I'm gonna lock down and torque the swing arm pivot bolts. Now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna get this outer primary cover cleaned up now. One thing I noticed, and you might see this on your bike too, looks like there's a little bit of gasket material left over on this. Before installing this back on the bike, I actually want to clean that off. I'm gonna use some Scotch-Brite right now to get this off right now. All right, much better. Primary outer cover is all cleaned up, ready to go. Gasket's installed. Let's get this on. Now that I got this installed and all torqued down, I'm going to remove these 5 bolts and get this cover off. Going to be refilling the primary. Going to be using Harley-Davidson Sin 3 for this. Got the oil in there. What I'm doing right now is just checking that there's no leaks. One thing I noticed when I was putting this back together, this bike is missing the push rod for the pressure plate and the clutch. We're going to have to get one of those on order. Moving forward, I got the left side of the bike, the floorboards, the shift assembly, and all that installed now. What I'm going to do next, this bike's got a dead battery. I'm going to get that pulled out so we can at least get some life in this thing. Also noticed I got to get a little spacer for this shifter. Let's get this battery replaced. Just got to remove this Torx clamp, remove these leads. And take a look at this. Something definitely isn't right here. This guy got hot and welded the terminal to itself. Moving forward, I got the battery installed and I was able to hunt down a new shaft for the pressure plate and the clutch. Let's get this guy installed. Get this outer plate put back in and install the circlip. That is just satisfying. All right, that's all seated in. Let's get this adjusted. What I'm going to do is run this all the way in until I feel it bottom, and I'm going to turn it out a half turn, and I'm going to lock the screw down. I'm using a special socket from Motion Pro to get this done. Now that's all installed, I came over to the front and I got the clutch cable all adjusted as well. All right, we're done with this primary. Let's button this up. Moving on, I want to see how this motor does cranking over first before I try and start it. I'm going to remove these spark plugs and just let the engine turn over. Now that I got these out, let's go ahead and give us a test run. Awesome. Turns over. Let's move forward. I'm going to reinstall these spark plugs. Going to get the mufflers put on and then the seat. All right, she's all back together. Let's see if she fires up. Back to life. Definitely happy to hear this. Let's go ahead and take this guy on a test ride. Just kidding. When I went to go check the tire pressure, this is what I found on the front wheel. Luckily, my local Cycle Gear over here in Victorville, California, they got my back. Using a valve stem installer tool, just going to lube this thing up and pop this new one in. It's not a tool I grab often, but when I need it, I definitely love it. Next, what I want to do is make sure that this tire is balanced. What What I'm doing now is just setting up the machine for the wheel, putting in all the parameters. All right, let's see what we need. Looks like 40 grams. What I have right here is some little wheel weights. They're about 5 grams a piece. I got them split, so we're gonna put 20 on each side. What I'm gonna do is bounce this off. We're gonna put them right at the very top of the wheel. Let's go ahead and give this another spin. Zeroed out. That's what we want to see. Let's get this guy put right back on. And before you throw the axle in, make sure you give that guy some fresh grease. Front axle's all on, wheels on, everything's torqued down. Let's try this test ride again. Thank you for watching and supporting. Until next time, stay safe out there, everyone.